saw each other in person.
Oh, at the retreat, I think.
The retreat. So I wasn't at that.
Yeah. So, oh, I hope so. Yeah. That doesn't have a.
No, I talked to him this morning, and he's fine.
I
He's
know.
much better. It's not COVID.
Everybody has to go. Not COVID.
Yeah.
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 You
So
never
what's,
know these things.
you never know because people, vaccinated people,
I get it. Well, you know Vivian Valencia, right? The former, she was fully vaccinated, and her son came home with it, and she got it again. So she's one of those rare cases.
she got
But
again.
she has some autoimmune issues too, and so it's probably more susceptible. But she's like, well, but so she's doing better, but she has like the long hauler stuff that she's dealing with. So anyway, that's
So she got it for a second.
well, she didn't have it the first time, but like before the vaccinations were available and stuff like that, it went through her family, and actually her father-in-law passed away. He's one of those people that had gone to rehab. They caught it in rehab, and they came home, and so they neither she nor her husband or kids got it then, but then they were vaccinated, and then she ended up getting it because her kids came home with it. She was, so
And
anyway.
is she still at home?
Yeah, no, she's
hospital?
still, no, she didn't, she was able to get the, what is the drug that they're doing? Remdesivir, yes.
So
And so it got better, but it's just has a longer impact on her. So she's much better now. She's finally recovering, but she said like brain fog, making her toes. So, she works 10 hours a week, luckily. So, she has some time to weekends, and they've been taking some vacation and stuff like that. So, bless her heart.
Yeah.
But she said that her case is fairly unique. I mean, it's kind of unique to have that, so that the state has been really checking in and tracking her to see what's different with her, because
Yeah.
there we go.
But nobody, we're still 5 minutes away. Okay, so we for the agenda, and then other business might be, if it's okay for me to schedule this meeting every other week, and then we cancel, right?
Right, and if this time works for people, it works for Rick and I, right? So, I mean,
And
it
it works
really
for
is
this
the
room.
committee, and we work around
Yeah.
you, but if this is a nice time for people, we can certainly do this. And then if you guys want to Zoom or do hybrid again, I think we're just gonna.
Yeah, I feel like it's nice to see each other's faces,
I know.
but then from the point of view of like efficiency, if we can Zoom,
Yeah.
sometimes it's better, faster.
Yeah,
right?
so I think it's really up to you as the chair and the committee as a whole as to how they want to operate, and we'll handle it however. And then with like the faculty constitution, if you just want me to sort of just
If you can
lay
start,
down my thoughts and just
that would be fantastic.
and just say, it may be an appropriate time. I mean, it wouldn't have been last year because, there's
Yeah.
stuff, but this isn't something we take lightly because it is gonna, we want to look at things in a whole because, we don't want to take like the little minor changes out because it has to go for a full faculty vote. So unless we're gonna do some significant
full-
changing and looking at it, but it is a good time now because we do have the CBAs now in place, and maybe we want to acknowledge somewhere in the faculty constitution
That would be
about
fantastic.
the, and so I think it's it's a good time to at least consider, and it's nothing we need to make a decision about today.
No, but we
Yeah.
can start,
But
if
we
you have time, we can start working on it, right?
Yeah, and you might want to touch, and it might be helpful to then pull in, like Vivian with her historical knowledge of the Constitution, if you have questions about why things happened the way they did. That's the beauty thing, was what we have this wealth of knowledge. So, and then I had like little like the chapter for health. We'll make those changes as we go along
That'd be
if we do the more
fantastic.
significant
Yeah,
ones.
Or you can create like a Google Doc where you
Yeah.
track edits so that,
Mhm.
you know.
We
have it.
actually, the person in our office, Carol Stevens is another resource to us, and so we'll get it in the policy format, and she has this nice way of, it's not you really to track changes, but what she does is she like, shows what the original language is, and then if we take anything out, you know, it's lined out, and if there's anything added in, she uses a different color of text, and if it's different groups that are adding things onto it.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Fantastic. Yeah.
so yeah.
I have
so-
a little bit of experience when we were doing the CBA and negotiating every single article with.
Oh, I know. And the Google Docs works okay for some part, but the
No.
way that this really allows her to track things and then get a draft when we're ready to send it out, that shows what
Yeah.
really was different. And then she can still track comments, and if we decide, oh, we don't want to put those comments in, we want to put it this way, then she does it. So we, how are you?
As long as-
Yeah, I need it. Sorry.
The only cool thing about Google Docs is that people can work at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time, and so we might do a little version of that as well. We can set up a little drive and stuff like that. But we'll figure that out. But you know, you guys might want to appoint a task force or something to work on it.
Yeah, the other person that perhaps could help out, I don't know what you think, might be Deborah McFarland. I
Oh.
know she has a lot of experience with the handbook. She's been at the FNC for a long time.
Mhm. Yeah, and she's currently on AFNC too. So,
Yeah.
so she's good. So yeah, so you might want to think about that. And it might be something to chat with first, like with Amy, and then with Kathy Senate as well, you know, because it's all,
Yeah.
But right now, AFNT is, we have an interim chair with Melissa Bossavoy, but they have to do an election for new chair to stay step down. For a good reason, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad for us, but really
Yeah.
good for him, actually. And
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I think it's a great role for him too.
Yeah, why don't we? All right,
Oh,
Everyone's here.
everybody is here. Can you guys hear me well? You hear us well?
Yes.
Cool. All right, welcome to our first meeting. We all know each other, right? We all introduced each other. Does anybody need introductions? Let's go really quick. I'm Matias Fontella, professor of economics. That's it.
I'm Satya Witt. I'm a senior lecturer from the biology department. Nice to see you all.
Nancy Middlebrook, University Secretary.
Rick Holmes, Office of the Secretary.
Troy
I'm
Lavada,
I'm from the
Professor,
College of Nursing.
Honors College.
Sorry, we can't hear you,
Hold on
Troy.
just a second.
We need more volume here. Go
All
ahead.
right,
Try again.
Manuel Martinez, School of Engineering.
Nope,
Sharon Ruyak, College of Nursing.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
sorry about that.
Can you hear me?
They might-
Look at your computer, and make sure that it is going for the right thing. The sound. So that is where the mute is. Try your microphone.
Or you can try your own microphone,
Yeah.
right? Or your own.
Oh, the
Still
the microphone
speaker,
is over
speaker. It's a
yeah.
speaker,
Try
what
the
matters.
speaker. Stay safe in the system and see what. it does.
Oops. System. Okay, anybody speak now, see if we can hear you.
Can you hear it?
Right.
Hear it?
That was super loud. Perfect.
Okay.
Go ahead, Troy.
Troy Lavada, Professor, Honors College.
We're
I'm
like,
Sharon Ruyak. I'm from the College of Nursing.
Manuel Martinez, School of Engineering.
all right, shall we just, first item is approval of this agenda. Do we have a first? We have a,
Gotcha.
second. All in, yes,
Is that Troy? Did Troy?
I'll
say-
second. Yeah.
all in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Okay, cool. All right, so really quickly, I think we have a chair's report, what had happened over The summer is that we had a couple of inquiries from faculty, and Nancy and I handled it. We discussed things. We gave feedback to these faculty. I didn't feel like I should bother you with these because it was just providing them information. But I just wanted to give you the background, and I didn't, since there was no decision on our side, I didn't think I needed to bother you during the summer, since most of us are 9-month faculty, right? So I wanted to protect your time off or your research time. But we've been contacted by faculty independently from architecture and planning and the College of Ed, and both faculty basically had the same concern. They had new deans. The deans then removed chairs and put their own chairs, and then faculty are upset about that. According to the faculty handbook and the Constitution, chairs serve at the pleasure of deans, so the deans have the right to remove chairs. And faculty that are upset about it, faculty have the right to call for general meetings of their faculty to discuss things. The rule says 10 or more, or for faculty less than 20, needs to be 50% of the faculty need to call for a general faculty meeting, and then they can discuss issues like this, and then they can have votes of no confidence and things like that. And then COG can be the facilitator of those meetings. COG can be the impartial institution that keeps a clock and counts votes if they wish to do so. So that's the formal response that we gave them, right? The informal response that I gave them is to think a little bit 2 steps in advance, right? If they're going to have a vote of no confidence, first of all, they need to count votes to see if they're going to have a strong majority. I don't think the political part of it is you have a new provost, right? Or you have a new president. The president usually wants to assign their own people. So she gets a new provost. A new provost wants to get their own people. So a new provost gets deans. And then deans want to choose their own people. So deans get chairs, right? So it's normal, right? And so if people are upset, if they're going to do a vote of no confidence, politically, they can't have just 50% plus 1 votes. They should have a strong majority, somewhere around 60%, for the provost really to listen to them, because the provost put in these deans, right? That was and then if they get that, then what are their alternatives? Do they have an interim dean that they want? Because if they don't, then they can go from a bad place into a worse place, right? And so I just, off the record, encourage them to think about these things. And that was it. And those were our conversations. Does that make sense? That was it. Anything else? Nancy, of course, was very, very helpful in helping us have this conversation with these people, because she's the knowledge here on the faculty handbook.
And I believe that Senior Vice Provost Barbara Rodriguez was also aware of the 2 situations too. So they had been checking, and she actually referred them to COG, or if they had a policy question to me, and then if I felt like it was really a problem issue, I would send it to them too. So,
Yeah.
So we operate like that, and I know that Nancy Lopez had some information too that we provided to you, so that may be something we need to look at a little further too.
Yeah, so I read Nancy Lopez from sociology sent us an email asking about rules, but I think what she was, the way I read her emails,
Mhm.
it was really rules, internal rules of her department.
Right, and
And she-
again, yeah.
And those are rules that each department can create their own rules, their own
Mhm.
bylaws, their own system of voting, whether things get changed by majority, supermajority. whether lecturers vote or no. These are all internal affairs.
Right.
I
as long
did
as-
not
yeah.
respond to her.
Yeah.
But that was my reading of those emails. We can respond to her if you would like me to.
Yeah, maybe we should just to
Okay.
close the loop.
So
on
I'll do that. I'll respond to.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing to jump in with that is also to mention, add that the departments or the colleges can have their own rules, but of course they can't conflict with the faculty handbook and all the rest, just to,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
And we
mean,
can, put the language in, we
Yeah.
can, usually what it's really nice is to refer to that policy language that we're referring to. So it's pretty clear on that. And
yeah,
it
'cause
does-
there's times when the faculty handbook says nothing, and so the department gets to decide. Yeah,
Right, but if the faculty handbook says something, and, and then in some cases, if they have a different, like health sciences may have some different processes, they, gotten that on, they make that very clear that, so, and I think that, we have made some exceptions for those two, but, for the majority, that's the rule of thumb. So thank you. Yeah.
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 Just
The Constitution, the faculty handbook rule, and above that, actually, it's the collective. If it is main campus, it's the collective bargaining agreement rules, then the handbook, then chairs can do. I mean, departments, individual departments can create their own bylaws,
Mhm.
I guess.
Absolutely.
Or the econ department has some sort of, I think they call it a constitution, but of course it has to be in agreement with.
If it totally negates
Faculty.
everything in the handbook, then there's problems. Yes, absolutely.
But I can reach out to Nancy's office and
Okay, and let me
We'll
know
talk
if you
about
need me to look at anything or help with
Okay.
anything.
anything else. Nancy, anybody?
The only thing that I might throw in about when you had the inquiries from architecture and planning and education, when you're giving that informal stuff, one thing is that it's people ask that question. I think having gone through faculty no confidence vote or almost through, I mean, it's been quite a while since there's been one against a dean. I think 2006 was where but what's more common, and maybe there's no history to, is those conversations with Barbara Rodriguez or the provost, and it gets up to a point where then something gets decided without the vote happening. I guess that's something to be aware of. Like, on one hand, it's rare, but on the other hand, the discussions aren't. I guess that's what I'm trying to bring up.
So the way I acted was I sent emails with go read A51, go read A81. This is what it says. And then please feel free to call me. And then when they call me on the phone, then informally I tell them about that sometimes the solution is political. It's what you just said, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
it's actually happened quite a bit that right before a vote, because they've counted the votes, a decision gets made because they know what the vote's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wasn't clear, or the person that I talked to in the College of Ed, I think my reading of it was that she was just upset, but she didn't have throughout the entire college support. From the SANP Architecture and Planning, my understanding was that they were counting votes. They had clearly 68, 69%. And the dean had made some, they had a few issues with the dean that they had gone all the way to formal complaints that had gone to the provost office.
Yeah.
Where the dean had acted and they needed to be disciplined for a couple of just things that they shouldn't have said or done. But we haven't heard from either one of them after, so I'm sure they're discussing that. The architecture and planning said, yeah, that's the problem. When I said, well, who's going to be your interim dean? And are you going to have a new search? And they say, yeah, that's the problem. We don't have anybody that wants to be interim dean.
Okay.
So that was a problem, right? And then I don't know, maybe they're working on that.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard from them.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, shall we move on to the faculty constitution?
Right. And I just wanted to introduce this a little bit for you all because there are some minor things that need some revision in the faculty constitution, but because of how you have to revise and amend the constitution, it has to go, you have to have public hearings twice before it goes to a vote of the full faculty. None of these were significant enough to do amendments on. And so we've had COG do some exceptions in the past. So for instance, I'll give you an example of a minor thing. The Office of Faculty Contracts no longer exists. And in the Constitution, it says the Faculty Contracts Office shall prepare the official list of the membership of the faculty and of the voting faculty. And last year we went to COG and said, they're building this new office, and it's Office of Academic Personnel now. But they're also working with HR a little bit more on data pulling and things like that. That's more significant. So we weren't really sure which office that would belong to, but so we just accepted that we would work with the Senior Vice Provost for Academic Affairs to get us a good list. And then if we needed to work with Health Sciences as well, we would compare, but they have access. So we're able to move past those things, but obviously there's a hole in the Constitution, and we have sprinkled throughout the Chancellor for Vice President, or the Chancellor for Health Sciences, which clearly needs a title update, but none of those things kind of rise to that level. But since we have now the CBAs ratified, it may be a good time to look to see if there's more significant changes needed throughout that, just either to acknowledge, the Constitution. We're also looking at revising Section B and some of the things that we're finding in there, like we talk about national laboratory professors, but nowhere in the Constitution does that say whether they're a voting faculty or not a voting faculty. So we have some things that probably need some updates, and that might go hand in hand as we're looking at Section B as well, just to add some clarity. Or maybe instead of being specific in the Constitution, we say something like as defined in the appropriate section in the handbook, because new titles may arise or be taken away. And again, with CBAs, we weren't sure if that was going to happen or not going to happen. Now we have at least that piece of information too. So I think it may be a good time to look at this. COG would probably want to form a group. And I was talking with Matthias that actually maybe the first step is to have a conversation with the other two faculty governance leaders, whoever's going to be chair of AF&T, because we have our chair that David Hansen was the chair, but he had to step down because he has taken an administrative position, which is a good thing for him, but it's a bad thing for AF&T. But so they're in the process of electing a new chair, and then Faculty Senate President Penny Coleman, because even though COG is responsible for the Constitution, obviously input from AF&T and the Faculty Senate, and as well as the faculty in a whole, are going to be very important. And that we're going along with the Section B revision too, having some close collaboration with AF&T would be very important. So you may want to, if you appoint a task force, you may want to have somebody representing AF&T on there and somebody representing maybe policy committee or one of the Faculty Senate, or maybe from ops or something like that, and other people that might be good working through the document and seeing where there's some things. And I've kind of tried to make a note of some of the more minor things that hopefully aren't too controversial but help to clarify. And then there may be some other things, and to even just acknowledge the existence of the union might be very important in this as well. I think it should, and we've not had that before, and so just acknowledging and who it impacts. So for instance, Sharon is a Health Sciences Center faculty member, so kind of maybe making some delineation that this applies to all faculty, but we do have an agreement that applies to some faculty and not others. So that's fine. I just wanted to put that pitch out, and it's nothing we have to decide about today. But just wanted to put it before you all and get your thoughts on that. And then if it's something that you think is worthwhile pursuing, then Matthews and I can start working on, some strategy that you obviously would work with you all on too.
I know that AF&T is also working on major changes,
Section B, yeah.
section B.
Mhm.
And for major changes, there needs to be a period where faculty can have input and
Mhm.
there needs to be a hearing, correct?
Right, so we'll probably as first thing they're doing is getting some revisions that AF&T are comfortable with, and then they'll have to put it out to, again, the faculty, and they'll probably have like listening sessions. So it's possible that as we're doing this, maybe those, maybe we could go hand in hand with some of those things. They are reformatting the committee a little bit because it had some membership drop off for various reasons. And so they're taking a step back and going back. They've done quite a bit of work, but they still have a little bit of work to do. But they're trying to get a project plan in place too, so that there is an end goal. And I think that will be helpful as we're looking at this too, because if we do want to align with that process or feel like it's comfortable aligning with them, then that helps a little bit too. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't work, but it's a place to look at and start. So
Yeah, so what do you guys think about Nancy first and her office trying to identify the issues and do like a first pass on what she thinks might need to be changed, that then we can look at. It's not urgent, but at the same time, also talk to AF&T and the Senate, see what they're doing, what their timeline is. And then maybe coordinate if we're going to have major revisions and put it out to the faculty. How about we propose them all at once so that there's only one set of hearings and one set of waiting. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I support that. Having seen some of those things go through faculty senate, keeping it in one big set, I think could help.
I agree.
Yes, everybody?
and there may
Sense
be
vote.
some things in section B that were like, this really doesn't have anything in the Constitution. So they're trying to, add in like for the National Laboratory Professor, because in like professors of practice, it does say they're not voting faculty,
Mhm.
but it doesn't and so we had to get like a ruling.
Mhm.
And so we don't treat them as voting faculty, and so, but that would be nice to have a consistent
Yeah.
way to handle those things, because,
Yeah.
we don't want to change the Constitution every time we have that, but we want to be able to meet the spirit of the Constitution of what constitutes a voting faculty member. So, I think if people are very conscientious when they're developing policy on the policy committee or in AF&T or even in COG, that we want to make sure we're following the spirit of what was approved and what the faculty have approved as a whole, and not go against it, and so, but sometimes things have to be changed and updated and address that. So,
In general, constitutions are written so that they withstand,
yeah, over the
Time.
test of time.
and
right?
then bylaws and things get adjusted.
Right, and
or-
those
or
individual
other things.
policies, then they have a way, because we're doing the above the line and below the line, which is really nice, because the above the line is the things that are harder to, they're not harder to change, but they take more of a effort to change. And then the below the line are more procedural, where it gives a little more flexibility to adapt and adjust and not as many layers of approvals on. But the Constitution has that really high level of approval, and it should. It really should. So we shouldn't just be able to go in and make a change here and there. Although, I think changing titles and things like that, maybe that's something we could look at, saying, if there's a change in title or something, but again, that's not worth putting to a full vote for the faculty. I think we can exempt, as long as Todd is okay with saying, we understand that the Chancellor for Health Sciences is now called the Executive Vice President for Health. I think that we can work with those little minor things. It's just the big major ones. And so if we
Okay.
have the stomach to do it, I think
Yeah.
we should do it. You know, I think it's a really good, I think it's a good time to do it.
Okay.
That voting faculty issue of the national law professor is,
It's
has
coming.
it's coming up in our department. Like we
Yeah,
discussed it
and I
at
think that's why
department
we
meeting.
started looking
Yeah.
into it a little bit more too, and the Constitution is silent on it, right?
Right, so that we
And
were
the-
like, what do we do?
Yeah, so, you know,
So
we
it would
have
help to have some guidance.
previously treated them as non-voting faculty, we just need to clarify, we need to clarify that, and, you know, maybe they should be, and maybe they shouldn't be, but, you
Yeah.
know, again, I think, you know, when you look at what a voting faculty person is, the way that they're treated isn't, it looks a little different than that, so.
Okay.
Anyway.
Does this sound good then? That Nancy does a first pass, then she brings it up to us if we need to, and then we communicate with AF&T in the Senate. AF&T, we may have to wait because they're in transition right now. Their chair resigned because he became vice president for research or something like that.
Associate
Interim vi-
VCR or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
assistant.
Assistant to
VCR or
the VCR,
something like
something like that.
Yeah, so we may, but this is not urgent, and I am sure that if we're gonna wait and coordinate with AF&T, they will take their time. So
Yeah.
this is not gonna be urgent on our side.
Right, it's just something to keep on.
Does that sound good to everybody? All in favor? Yeah? Cool, awesome.
Great.
Other business? Anybody have any other business?
You want to talk about meetings?
Yes, I guess the last then order of business, unless anybody has anything else, is that if this time works for everybody and this format works for everybody, we could set up a set aside this room every other Thursday at 11 with the hope or expectation that we do not meet every other Thursday. And we meet only on a needed basis. And so if you guys want to meet once a month, whether we have anything to discuss or not, that's fine by me too. But I'm of the idea that meetings disrupt research time or teaching time or other things, right? And travel. So if we don't have to have meetings, we just should cancel them. But the idea would be to set up this time so that if we need to meet, we do. Does that, thoughts on this?
Yeah, although this worked really well for this week for me, 11 actually looks like later in the semester won't work well. So maybe it's trying to just figure out another time, but you know, if it's, I can work around, you know, once a month, but it looks like if it's every other, you know, if it's relatively common, it's going to be a little more complicated for me.
My expectation, my hope is that it's even less than once a month.
Okay.
I try to
Yeah.
protect my research time. And so I originally had put that I wasn't available Thursday mornings because I want to do research in the mornings. But then when I saw that there was no agreement, I was like, fine, I'll just, fine.
Put out another little
I
poll.
changed it. So I'm glad that you're saying this because I really kind of don't want to meet
Okay.
Thursday mornings.
Yeah, could we do another poll? I think that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon?
It does work for me if you can provide a Zoom link. I have a standing meeting generally on Thursdays from 10 to 11. And since I'm on the other side of the campus, I can't get over there by 11. But if you provide a Zoom link, I can make that time.
I think we should reopen a poll.
Or we can just say, what's your preferred meeting
Yeah.
time? Yeah, so, or we could do that. Did you guys like the little meeting thing that we did before?
Yeah, that poll
Yeah.
was really good.
That worked for me.
So
Yeah.
What you can do is, even though it has to go for dates, we'll just do a week.
Yeah.
And just pretend that it's anytime during that week that's reasonable. And then we'll try to avoid holidays and things we schedule to, but yeah. Okay, we'll just do it like, we'll just open it up for like 2 weeks from now and just do that. And then you guys can look at your schedule every other week and then just put that down. So,
Does that sound good?
And an hour, do you just want to hold an hour of time? I think an hour is.
An hour
good.
is plenty, right?
Yeah, I don't think we ever went to an hour and a half when we were scheduling for an hour and a half the last time, so,
Only half an hour
Yeah.
now.
yeah, so. And
No,
if-
I'm a strong believer that a meeting, if we meet for an hour, it's not 1 hour that's being spent. There's how many of us, right? 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
7 hours that are being spent,
Absolutely.
right?
Well, and the other thing too is if there's an issue that comes up that we think needs more time, we can always, schedule more.
Emergency meeting or something like that.
But I think it'll be good. Okay, we'll
Okay.
do that and we'll get that. done.
Any other business? Anybody?
No.
We're under half an hour.
Excellent.
Motion to adjourn. First,
well,
second.
Manel.
That's all of us, yeah.
Better.
All right, guys. Nice seeing you. Nice
Yeah,
meeting
thanks a lot. Thanks for running it.
you. All right. Bye, everybody.